My 23F boyfriend's 27M family is trying to set him up with other people even though we've been dating for 3 years. My boyfriend and I have been dating for almost 3 years. We're very serious about each other and have talked about getting engaged in the next year or two. His family is very important to him. I've always made an effort to get them to like me because I know how much they mean to him. And I thought I've always left a good impression on them, until today. He told me his aunt, who he's very close with, has been having concerns about us because I haven't attended any of their family's major parties or holidays recently. These gatherings are always very large with no COVID precautions taken at all. A lot of his family tend to downplay the pandemic. His family is very touchy-feely with everyone and they love to hug, share food/drinks, invade personal space, etc., which would be fine if COVID wasn't still a thing. I live with 2 high-risk individuals and I can't risk their health/lives. I've communicated to him that I won't feel comfortable attending these gatherings with his family until the pandemic subsides a little. Still, despite this, I did attend a few major holidays with them over the summer when the pandemic wasn't at its worst. After he told me his aunt was having concerns, he also told me that this same aunt, his dad, and one of his cousins have been trying to set him up with a woman they know. They're all very much aware that him and I still in a committed relationship, but apparently that doesn't matter to them. I feel incredibly disrespected and hurt that they would all collectively do this knowing that we're still dating. My boyfriend is also pissed, but maintains that they only feel this way because they haven't seen me in so long. Still, I feel like the solution to that would be them wanting to get together in maybe a smaller setting, not completely disregarding me/our relationship and trying to set him up with someone new altogether. Any thoughts on where to go from here? I'm worried that his family wanting him to see other people is going to put a major strain on our relationship, even though he says it won't. I can't even fathom how uncomfortable and self-conscious I'm going to feel being around his family now that I know how little they think of me. If/when I do see them again, do I even mention any of this? I feel like it'd be the elephant in the room if it wasn't addressed. Any advice would be appreciated. TL Doctor, my boyfriend's family is trying to set him up with someone new because they haven't seen me in a while, despite knowing we're still in a relationship. I can see why you'd be upset, especially as you're trying to be really responsible and aren't avoiding them for any other reason. Your partner needs to step up and tell them to back off and that he has no intention of looking for another woman. If it's any consolation, my Phil wasn't keen on me either once he found out I didn't plan on changing my name when I married his son. But I think he was just concerned and he came round eventually. So I'm assuming your boyfriend then is attending these large, not so socially distanced parties, correct? Despite the fact that he sees you regularly? You who lives with 2 high-risk individuals? Did you stay apart for at least a week after each of these gatherings? Look, your boyfriend isn't so different from his irresponsible family. If he's had recent contact with them since they tried to set him up, he obviously doesn't care all that much. Question is, why are you the one suffering here? Maybe my guesses were wrong about him and he refused to attend those gatherings and has temporarily blocked his rude family out, but if he hasn't, you have to seriously question whether or not you two share the same values. This isn't really about what the relatives said or did. This is about your BF. He's 27 and he could have shut this conversation down the first time it came up. He wouldn't be disrespecting his elders. He would be requesting that they respect him and you. He did not do that, and because he did not do that, the aunt saw an opening. You need to check your BF because he said or did something, or didn't say or do something, that gave her the impetus to think and then act. This is on your BF. How disrespectful of his family to do that. They don't think much of him then to disrespect him like that, knowing full well in a long-term relationships with you. Your boyfriend needs to be setting a very clear boundary on their input into your relationship or other relationships. If he's not doing that, your problem lies with him, not his crazy-ass family. I'd be talking to him about why he's not putting his foot down. He should be doing more than being pissed. Also, is he going to all these high-risk gatherings and then hanging out with op? Or do they feel like they'd get to see him more if he was with someone just as reckless? My brothers, 22 and 29, are taking over my house, 31F. My brothers, 22 and 29, disrespect my house. My brother, 22, was living with my dad until he graduated from college. My dad and his fiancée just built their dream house, and my brother got annoyed with all the rules and moved himself into my house. No one asked if this was okay. At first it was supposed to be a week or so, but it's been over a month now and he has no plans to leave. My dad and my mom have given me money for groceries, didn't ask for this, and I use it to buy my brother the food he eats. I use my own money to buy my groceries. My other brother, 29, is moving out of state for work in a couple of months. He has moved out of his current place and plans to stay with me. Again, no one asked, they just moved in. My brothers come and go as they please, in and out all day long. I'm currently working from home and it's just annoying. Not to mention that my younger brother won't come home until 5-6 a.m. from being at friends' houses. They eat all the food because they are constantly high. Even the food that I pay with my money. They don't offer to clean up the kitchen after dinner, help walk the dogs, take out the trash, offer to pay for groceries, etc. When I bring this up to them, it goes in one ear and out the other. Or they tell me to stop nagging. I don't know what else to do. I don't want to ask my parents for the grocery money this month. I am 31 and it just feels like I can't handle things. But they are not my financial responsibility and it's not fair to have to buy groceries/bills for 2 additional people. TL, Doctor, my brothers are taking over my house and I am miserable. Tell them your landlord said they have to go. Then they can't blame you. This is your house, as in it's in your name. I am renting it and the lease is in my name. Sounds like you have no boundaries, TBH. If they didn't ask, why did you let them move in? Call the cops and tell them you have 2 people who are uninvited squatting in your house. Set some rules. Enforce them. Tell them they need to buy their own food, not touch yours, and that they need to contribute to the household, otherwise they need to look for a new place to stay within the week. Throw them out. They are both fully grown men and it's ridiculous for you to tolerate their crap. You need to establish rules and enforce them or change the locks. They are doing this because you let them. How to get a manager, 60s/m, to stop commenting on the times I, 23/f, leave. Hi guys, I'm currently in a bit of an awkward situation with a manager at my workplace. I currently do shift work, and my shifts rotate weekly. Last week I was on night shifts. This week I'm on the day shift, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Our workplace operates on an oil system, e.a. if you work overtime, you can take the same amount of time off at a different date. I have some oil built up since I overstayed on night shifts, and was feeling particularly unwell, so I decided to leave 30 minutes early. A manager, let's call him Tom, I work with, constantly comments on the times I leave. Tom isn't my manager, he works in a different part of our department, however he is considered senior to me in the hierarchy. As I was leaving, Tom walked out of his office, asked me if I'm heading home, and made a show of dramatically checking his watch and saying it's a bit early, isn't it? I thought you were supposed to be in until 3. I told him I came in early today and also had toil, so I was just gonna head out a bit early. He responded with, oh well, I don't believe you, and went back into his office. I think his comments are meant to come across as a bit of a joke or teasing since I'm new to the job, but I'm not comfortable with them and they make me feel a bit anxious. I have spoken to my supervisor, let's call her Anne, about what I'm doing, and she said it's perfectly fine as long as the total hours I work per week add up to 40. Anne also happens to be Tom's supervisor, and she is the person who is in charge of everyone's scheduling and clock-ins for our department. I am fully aware and have been reassured by Anne that what I am doing is perfectly acceptable, but Tom's comments make me feel anxious and guilty. Although I'm fully aware that this isn't the case, him commenting on the times I leave in front of everyone in the office makes me feel like a slacker and a bad employee. Tom has no way of knowing how much excess time I have built up, or what time I clocked in at. He works 8 to 4 every week, so he never sees me clocking in, and so his accusations of me leaving too early are baseless. How can I approach this situation in order to get him to stop making such comments in front of everyone? I want to approach this in a professional and non-confrontational manner, and definitely do not want to pick a fight or sour relations, but I'm unsure how I can voice my dislike for his comments without coming across as aggressive. Too long didn't read. A manager at work constantly comments and implies I'm slacking off whenever I leave earlier than my shift end, despite the fact that I am entitled to do so due to me clocking in earlier than shift start and having excess time due to overtime. I don't know how to approach the situation and get him to stop, as his comments make me very uncomfortable and make me feel lazy and like a bad employee. Other people have given you good advice. I just need to chime in and say that Tom is a tool. That's not appropriate behavior for a manager. You're absolutely right to dislike what he is doing. It's a bit early, isn't it? I thought you were supposed to be in until 3 and is aware of my schedule, and is fine with it. Thanks for your concern, though. How can I approach this situation in order to get him to stop making such comments in front of everyone? So, the uncomfortable thing about him being a supervisor above you in the hierarchy means you can't really get him to stop in a direct way. You can respond by making it boring for him, though. In a neutral tone of voice, just say something like, "Yep, Anne is aware. Have a nice afternoon," and leaving. If you justify it to him, that will make him think you ought to be justifying it to him. Another option is to stop and ask him, "You've commented on my hours a few times now. Are there any concerns that you have we should bring to Anne?" That will, hopefully, make your point that it's really none of his business. This is also one of those weird things about a work environment versus a social environment. In a social environment, if someone is making comments that are not rude but are annoying, you can always speak up. But in a work environment, you have to pick your battles and you have to have a higher tolerance for annoyance. Tom is being annoying, but he isn't being rude or offensive. So a direct approach may not be the most effective here. Another option is to stop and ask him, "You've commented on my hours a few times now. Are there any concerns that you have we should bring to Anne?" I like this question, because then it makes him have to justify why he keeps commenting on ops time. I think you need to deal with it in one way externally and another internally, and both are important. Internally, focus on reminding yourself that you're actually doing everything right. Cast him as the type of grumpy neighbor who would shake his stick at people walking wrong past his house or whatever. That, combined with the sort of person who says it doesn't scan, guess IT must be free then at checkouts and thinks they're hilarious. That is, see him as an oddity and a character study and just part of the rich tapestry of office life, and try not to let his comments get to you. Externally, I think the best way would be a combination of joking along but also making clear that you know what you're doing. So haha, yeah, I thought I'd make a run for it. In a light-hearted tone, then drop down to still light-hearted but a bit more serious for "but yeah, of course I've cleared it with Anne and I'm using toil, see you tomorrow." Basically, I think you need to stop Tom doing the annoying joking thing and stop feeling anxious, because the former is much harder and out of your control, and the latter is within your control in a whole other way. Doing it like this will also make you come off as social and fun rather than awkward and anxious, and I say this as someone who makes a conscious effort at work to be social and fun, in a work-appropriate way, rather than letting my anxiety mess things up.